All right. Our guest this week is the one and only Ted Danson, an American classic.
Yep. What a dude. I think most people know him from, well, a lot of things. He's done so many shows. Cheers is the one that
Cheers
jumps out.
is sort of that gigantic one, but he's worked consistently on all kinds of different shows for 40 some years. And so we had a nice time with Ted. He's very affable, funny, and we went over a movie, Body Heat, if anyone's a fan of that. It's a brilliant film noir, early 80s, where he plays
William
a key
Hurt.
part in that. William Hurt and Kathleen Turner. We talk about that. We talk about how he got into show business, his beginnings. Talked a lot about how show business can beat you up and beat up your ego, and how you have to be, I don't know what word he used, agreeable, or you have to be willing, to take the pain and not flip out, basically.
The beating that is show business.
That can be show business to your ego.
We've talked a lot about Woody Harrelson because he did Cheers with them, and they have a spinoff, not a podcast about that. It's more, it's not just about Cheers.
It's not just about Cheers, but it's Ted Danson and then Woody Harrelson sometimes, but he loves Woody. Woody loves him. They're really good friends, and podcasting allows him to hang out. So he talks about that. He's a really interesting, gracious guest for us, and talks about his marriage. And that's kind of a teaser for anybody interested in Mary Steenburgen,
who I have a crush on.
Steenburgen, who's adorable. And so you'll hear about a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
You're going to hear stuff like you wouldn't believe. We never run out of it. We're going to do things. And a lot of people say, we can't do it, but we did it anyway.
All right, here you go. There's Ted Danson. Let's free ball it.
Oh, no. We love the technical stuff. Everyone, we've been told, because we're dancing for our dinner when you're doing your shows and movies and I'm doing whatever. And then we're told, well, people actually just want to listen to us hang out and talk. So it's not really a show. And everyone who listens to this podcast is actively doing something else. Gardening. They're at the gym. It's like having sex with your wife, but she's actually writing a grocery list. So changes the dynamic.
Also, they like to go, what is he doing to his computer that I don't do to mine? Like, how do you do that? So it's also a little informative because
very much.
We never get it right. We've done this so many times, and then sometimes, whatever.
Have you banked some, Ted? By the way,
we come
lingo.
We're
lingo. He's
let's see. We premiere, is that the word? Whatever.
June 12th.
And
Sweet.
I think we have about 38.
Shut up.
I know.
Oh, that's smart, because then you get so far ahead that you're going to be able to make your own schedule as you go. You can go to Greece for a month if you want.
Yes, but the poor people who had a book coming out the week after the podcast, book is probably off the shelves by now. So
right,
we were told to slow down a little bit.
We run into that. They say you should get a little ahead, but sometimes like someone's exactly promoting something.
Are you guys loving doing this? A podcast? Not necessarily this one, but in general.
Well, this one is starting out as my favorite one. So, this is, let's unpack this for a little minute. Like, this is surreal, post-pandemic, that I'm on a laptop in my bedroom. I'm punched in, I'm working, I'm being paid well, I'm hanging out with friends and riffing. That this even exists as an idea. Like, I was on vacation with my family in Wyoming, and they said, Paul McCartney can do it tomorrow. So I had to go to the Four Seasons for good Wi-Fi, and I interviewed Paul McCartney on this very laptop, wearing this T-shirt for an hour with David in New York and Paul in Liverpool or something, or London probably. So yeah, it's a miracle, and it's
a miracle.
It's very fun. And here, the other thing you've probably already noticed, I don't know if you're a man about town. I'm kind of an introvert. I'm like Billy Bob Thornton. I'm just inside. So I get to hang out with you now for an hour. So if we ever run into each other again, it'll be even next level. Ted,
Yes.
Ted, it's Dana. So there you go.
I have the exact same story, really. I had to go to church around famous people when I meet them at a party. I become reverential. I become all the things you don't want to be. I'm not cool, I'm not whatever, and I'm a bit of a wallflower. So to be able to sit opposite somebody, we do it in person, and literally talk to them for like an hour and a half or so, and figure out who they are and what makes them tick is kind of a privilege. I'm really enjoying.
Yeah.
It's like an uninterrupted Oscar party where people aren't pulling you away every second,
Yes.
Yeah, at those parties you get about a good 15 seconds before someone comes in, and so these are real conversations, real talk, and then it's just getting to basically like have dinner with someone and talk for an hour. That's the way I look at it.
So this is that a surprise? Like you went into it, let's see how this goes, and then you decided, I love this, because it is enforced intimacy. It's not, the small talk is difficult at a giant party. Very tricky.
I get nervous depending, if they're friends or people I've worked with, I don't get nervous. But if there's somebody I don't know and especially have a lot of respect for, like you guys, I get intimidated for about 5 minutes until I settle down and, just enjoy the conversation. But yeah.
It's hard to decide how far I can poke fun at people because I don't know them that well. And some people we know from the old days and some people I barely know. And sometimes we go too far, but it's ultimately just for fun.
That's my nickname, Too Far Ted.
Too Far Ted is?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
it's catchy.
How does that manifest itself? You just
saying wildly inappropriate things, trying to be one of you guys who can be cutting edge, and I go too far. It's mostly family. It's around family. That's where I go.
Oh, okay. Well, we, doing this, I will, after almost every one, have some regret. Not like I'm crying but I'll go, oh, why didn't I follow that through line? And why did I interrupt? And why did I talk over him? So have you found any of that where you or are you free? Like Howard Stern gets tortured. Letterman famously wouldn't come out of his dressing room for an hour because of things he didn't think he did right. Others can just take it off like a jacket.
No,
Which are you?
I am really, I don't sleep well the night before. I'm full of, what do I have to offer? I'm a lightweight. All of those things are true.
All legitimate.
They don't stop you from, being able to do this job.
Well, self-deprecating is your new nickname. And I have evidence here. I do research.
Yeah, you've done shit.
Of one of the biggest careers in the last
it is a
50 crazy years. And we can jump around wherever you want to go. But I have things that I'm really excited to talk to you about.
Well, we did kind of work together, didn't we?
Well,
Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah. And I remembered you.
Dana.
No, I was hey, come on, give me a second. I remember you then and you now, like talking to us just on the soundstage, and you talked about how, I won't give the number, but it was
I remember
89.
this.
You told us how much you were going to make specifically, and you were sheepish about it. You knew so many great actors that were still in regional theater. There was a humility about you, and it always stuck with me. But what did you remember?
I remembered how my false humility, which I'm also really good at. Just for the record, I think it was you or John asked me.
Of course they ask.
I'm always fascinated, and we probably asked you together, but go ahead.
It's a little bit, if you're in the business, kind of okay, together, kind of okay.
Yeah.
If I'd been making like way less, I probably would have said none of your business.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Well, it's fascinating to me, the transition where you're going to try show business, then you get a job in show business. Now they're paying me good money, like I'm a high school teacher, show business. Now they're giving me a lot of money. It's just surreal
for doing the same shit.
It is literally. And the day you got that job that pays you, a lot of money, you're just as good or bad as you were the day before.
Yeah.
It's all very kind of, I do think there's a degree of, you need a degree of willingness to be successful. And that sounds really weird, but you do have to give up the shit in your life that doesn't serve you. You do have to, I don't know. They're just things that you need to you have to be willing to, I don't know. I actually, sorry.
No, we love this.
I know that willingness, you know, is a big part of being successful. A lot of people, you know, don't check out how they present in the world, or don't realize they have a chip on their shoulder, or don't really take a look at themselves in a kind of harsh, real way, so that you can pave the way to the possibility of success. A lot of people are confused why things don't come their way, but then if you really take a look, you have a big fuck you on your shoulder that people don't necessarily want to work with. I mean, there is a degree of self-examination, I think, that helps you on your path, you know, in life.
Some people are what I call a shoulder looking for a chip.
Yes.
Like their brain actually, they get an endorphin rush from that feeling of victimhood.
Yeah.
It's a disease. And I do think that over the years, and people have come through Saturday Night Live and stuff, there's an agreeableness. It's not soft or hard. It's just agreeable in the moment, and someone you want to hang out with. So I assume that by the time because you got a movie called The Onion, and that was your first kind of movie in '79, right? And you got Cheers.
Yeah, The Onion
Field.
Yeah.
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 And James Woods, John Savage.
Yeah.
Who are,
a lot of interesting
Does it
people.
ring a
James
bell?
Woods was brilliant. True story about two policemen in the 60s who got pulled over, who pulled over a car because of a license plate infraction or something. And these kind of low-level hoods decided to pull guns on us, took our guns, kidnapped us, took us out to Bakersfield. And they thought, well, we've kidnapped them, so we might as well kill them. And they did indeed shoot my character. But what was remarkable about it was like, it was a Joe Wamba novel. And then I think he wrote the script. Harold Becker directed it. And they had relatives and of the people who were real in the movie. So it was like you were really, not only was it my first film that, you know, has a certain degree of awe attached to it when you're starting out, but it also had the awesomeness of trying to represent people who had relatives standing there watching you act.
That's tougher, yeah.
Yeah, but it was really an amazing experience.
What was the Onion Field? Is that where they brought you out?
That's where, there are onion fields out in Bakersfield, and that's where
it's a very riveting film, kind of disturbing.
Yeah,
it's like anyone's worst nightmare.
Yeah,
you know. Can I? This is just. I want to go to this movie now.
Don't skim over 3 Men and a Baby.
No, we're coming to that. There's just a movie. I did this with Michael Keaton. I'll do it with you. Everyone has a sleeper movie that maybe it's not as big as some of the other movies, but it's a sleeper that no human being could not enjoy. Every time I've recommended this movie that you were in to anybody who's never seen it, I'm always very happy. You haven't seen Body Heat?
Oh, Body Heat.
Yeah.
You're going to love it. And that's on my wife, and we watch movies over and over again, like The Godfather every year. That's on our rotation. That's how much we love it. I've seen it at least 10 times. You in that movie is crazy great. Do you hear from people about that?
Yes,
and that dancing character and the whole arc of the whole... Anyway, do you talk about it?
Yeah. No, it was brilliantly written by Larry Kasdan, who had written a lot of the Star Wars, or several of the Star Wars. And this was I think his first directorial.
Yeah.
And he storyboarded it like 2 or 3 times. We rehearsed it for a month because there was I think a writer's strike or some strike that happened right as we started our 1 week rehearsal, and it turned into a 3. So it was so well thought out and planned. You can literally take that script, watch the movie, and conduct it like a symphony. Everything on the page is on the screen, which is to the point where he'd shoot a half of a close-up and a third of a master because he knew exactly what he wanted.
Wow. And the
So
dancing
cool.
thing was in the script.
In the script, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of that strike, I had about a month running around LA, jumping, in car lots, jumping off bumpers and trying to be Fred Astaire.
It was just the character in the film, David. I don't know if you've seen it, but watch it tonight.
I saw early on.
Yeah, little dance flourishes throughout. Such a unique little twist to a character. You did see it when it came out, probably.
Well, everyone fell for Kathleen Turner, right? She's in that.
Oh, yes.
And
very much so.
And then I fell for William Hurt.
William Hurt is just brilliant in that,
Yeah,
and
he is.
He
was on his way to becoming a heartthrob. I mean, he was amazing.
Yeah.
This is how my mother, because there was some sexy nudity, not involving me, her son, but this is how my mother watched Body Heat. Literally with her hands covering her eyes,
of course, just hoping you're not popping up naked, right?
Yeah. Star-crossed lovers who plot to kill the husband. Richard Crenna was amazing in that. In great movies, everyone's great. You ever notice that?
Who? I'm going to blank on his name.
James Allen Preston was your cohort, the detective. You two together, figuring out your good friend William Hurt, the lawyer, is probably guilty. And that whole arc is written so great and acted so brilliantly.
But who is the guy that they hired?
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, this was Mickey's first film, and he popped out of that.
My gosh.
Stud.
I don't know what you're doing, but I wouldn't do it. I don't know what you're doing, counselor.
I am about as, bland, white, boring as you can get.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I was talking to him, Mickey, before a shot or something. I was watching them shoot his scene in the jail cell, and he was saying, if this hadn't come along, I'd probably be in jail. And he's one of those guys. Some people say that. Yeah. It's like, yeah, right.
He is like that.
Yeah. And I kind of went, yeah, I got it. Yeah.
What a stud, though. And then he comes out 9.5 weeks, all that stuff.
Yeah, just so fun to watch. I just think the scene where you guys really went for it at the very end, back in the diner, toward the end, where you and William Hurt's character really kind of know the gig is up, the game is up, and you're having your iced tea. I don't know if you get away. It's just that you both started really laughing together. Yeah. And it always stood out as very real when the tension gets so high,
What was your first movie?
My first movie opened in Uruguay on Tuesday in 1948. First movie I was in, Racing with the Moon, but I was with Nicolas Cage, and I had a little part in that. But then the director, Richard Benjamin, called me at home and said, you were fine in the scene. We just can't use you. I did Tough Guys with Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas. I was the third. Their last movie together in 1985.
Wow.
That was a thrill.
You were a tough guy?
Were you excited and thrilled?
Beyond. Being a baby boomer, Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas. I mean,
come on.
And I'm hanging out with them and they're talking to me. And I was just I thought they would just sort of levitate. But when I saw them do their lines, it was so simple and clean, you know? Yeah. Well,
which is hard.
I don't think we should rob the bank. Cut. Is that it? Well, Burt would do a lot of takes because his memory was going a little bit. And then I would do one take and then Kirk would always say, I think we got it. I think we're good. Let's move on. But I became friends with Kirk after that, doing a lot of cardiac benefits at Cedars-Sinai. And just, what's your
let me ask David real quick. I'm taking over this podcast, by the way.
Yeah, I want to see how your chops are.
I already know you're going to be great. You can practice interviewing us, and then you can use this audio for. This is go ahead.
David.
First one was Police Academy 4 with Steve Guttenberg.
Steve Guttenberg. Yeah.
See, look at that.
That's a tough guy to work with.
What a prick.
Were you blasé? Were you in awe? Was it a big deal?
I was so beyond doing cartwheels. I got it from just being at the Improv, being new and doing stand-up. And then I got lucky because I didn't know how to act at all. If let's look at a clip. You can tell. But no, I didn't know how to act, and they said they need a skateboarder, and there was always casting people at the Improv, and Dana knows this. There's just, you never know.
Yeah.
And I looked young, and I was 20, maybe 21, and they said, "Can you skateboard? They want to call you in for this." And they didn't have the sides at the place, and they apologized and said, "Can you just act like you're a skateboarder, like arguing with the cops because they're hassling you?" And I'm like, "Oh my, this was so much better because I couldn't have read. I wouldn't even, they could tell I just read it off the paper. I wouldn't even know what I'm doing." And so because that was even in the vicinity, they're like, "It's not a huge part. Yeah, get him." And it was 10 weeks. And so I got to go and do 10 weeks. I double dated with Gutenberg to Bob Seger when I was there.
Nice.
And my date liked him better in a shocking turn of events.
Wow.
She liked the lead in the movie. And then one time I think I was making 25 grand, which was 2,500 a week for 10 weeks. Nice. And I loved it. I couldn't fucking believe it. And Steve was making 1.7 million. And I remember it was a rain delay and we were in his trailer. He was nice enough to just bullshit with me. And by lunch, they called lunch, and I walked away going, he just made my whole salary. He didn't leave his trailer. In my weird head, I was thinking, it's too much money. It's too crazy. Yeah. And so, pleasant experience, got to be a skateboarder. Tony Hawk was in it, got to work with skateboarders.
Tony Hawk
movie.
Did you meet Tony up Hawk with him later? Was Tony Hawk super Tony Hawk by then, or no?
He was medium Tony Hawk. He was just a skater I saw in the skate magazines, and I was a skater. So he played, I had like a gang of skaters that were bad guys, sort of, and it's not even a B story, like a D. And then Tony would do my good skating. He's my stunt skater for me. So
that's pretty cool.
He's been on this podcast.
And he was nice enough to, then I stayed in touch with him because I love skateboarding. So I knew every guy they used, and then we stayed friends. And my big excitement was I took at the rap party, I took a Tylenol from Canada, which is a 222, which is Dana. I don't know if you know, when you go there, they sell codeine over the counter.
Really?
So I took two, basically like full Vicodins. I'd never taken a pain pill. And I was running around like John Bonet. I didn't know why I was so amped up. And I got too amped, and I ran home from the party 3 miles, dug a pool, and then just stayed awake for 24 hours. I didn't know what was going on.
Jeez, a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot going on at that rap party. Sharon Stone was in it.
Wow.
It was such a fun, Bubba, obviously Bubba Smith.
Sharon's been on your show too, right?
Sharon's been on, and she was lovely.
Recently.
And, was lovely on the movie.
Do you guys keep in touch? I am just amazed. I'm a lousy friend. I'm a good worker. Yeah. I love.
You seem like a bad friend, like that vibe.
Yeah. Staying in touch. I'm rotten. I like to hunker down with Mary and go nowhere.
Well, Mary's
Harrelson is the exact opposite. He literally will be on location somewhere, and his assistant or whoever will come up and say, "These are the people who have called and would like to spend some time with you here in Montreal." I am the exact opposite. I'm terrible. I'm always apologizing.
I'm exactly like you, Ted, basically.
David, you have friends. I can tell.
I have a couple friends, but when I see them out, I am good for a short amount of time at a party, at a Hollywood thing. I can do about an hour. The second I'm in the corner and no one's talking and I feel weird and everyone's kind of gotten over it with me, I go, they've seen me once. Because, people go, I'm going to go do a lap. And then they come back, you see them again. And then the third time, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I've seen you 3 times. Yeah. So you feel dumb doing that. So I say hi, say things that don't matter, talk about nothing, do jokes that no one understands, and then I leave.
He's on Mary I want to know about you and Mary.
Yeah, and Mary's very nice.
Been married a long, long time, hanging out. Of course, everyone loves her. Yeah. And you as a couple. So what do you guys hang? I know you do Wordle. So does my wife in the morning. But
everyone's talking about you doing Wordle.
Do you read in the same room together at night? Do you check out shows? Do you talk amongst yourselves?
We check out shows. We found each other late in life and had messed up. I had several times, and we had both gotten to the point where we were convinced that we were incapable of having a relationship. So finding each other was so miraculous. We celebrate each other and do each other nonstop. So yeah, we're pathetic. If you had a hidden camera, we would nauseate the entire world. We make each other laugh with the stupidest things, but hearing her laugh is kind of the best thing in the world.
Do you have tricks up your sleeve? I mean, do you do a Cary Grant impression, or I'm just picking names out of my head. It's just, is it physical comedy? Because you've demonstrated a lot of comedy chops throughout your career.
Yeah.
Physical comedy. I'm really good for talking for our dog when we had a dog.
Improv.
That's something.
All very stupid stuff.
Yeah, but it works. If you get someone it works with, that's all that matters.
Do you like say you're in the kitchen and she just comes in and is walking around? Do you just like watching her walk around still?
Yes, I will peek at my wife. Peek at my wife.
Okay.
I have full carte blanche to look at, but I will sometimes just peek at her and go, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
Look at her.
She's a stunner.
Look at her. Look at her.
I love that. That is the sign of a really good marriage. And you're both really simpatico, chill. No one's undercutting. You just think of all the negative things that can happen. Someone who's undercutting you, a little bit jealous. I mean, there's a whole list of human frailties. And so I guess with you two, it's just easy.
You were the first J-Lo and Ben, to be honest.
You work at stuff. Your parents, your step parents, your grandparents. You both have careers. You both have egos and sensitivities. So it's not.
Yeah.
But we work at it. And when you're working at on things with somebody you're madly in love with, it's a lot easier. In the middle of a fight, which are pretty rare, but in the middle of a fight, I walk away and one little voice in my head goes, "Ted, do you really believe that she's not madly in love with you?" It's like, oh, shit. Okay.
That's nice.
So do you think that J-Lo Affleck rumors are true?
That's why we got you on the phone today.
Give me the latest. I'm rooting for them.
It's sort of the opposite of your situation. The more people that know what your business is, in my theory, is it's just harder because the more commentary. So you guys are sort of homebodies. There's less interaction, less input of what you should be doing and not doing.
I think also the level of fame. If I am surrounded for whatever reason by a lot of adulation, adoration because of a job I'm in the middle of, or a crowd, or a whatever, and I come home, I almost feel it's tricky because there's part of your ego, which you pretend you don't have or you have under control, is just roaring. I think if I were more famous than I am, I would be very hard on relationships. I think if, they both are so famous, I think Mary's and my fame is at the level that we can contain and are happy with.
And do your life pretty normally without too much.
You're not feeding the beast. I mean, shiny objects, it's the press corps just goes to the shiny object. But Ted and Mary, still happily married, taking care of their families, both working, so be boring. There was that guest we had on here was in the tabloid frenzy. I said, you got to get boring. You just got to get boring, however you can do it.
You can't take off your wedding ring one day, then put it on the next day, and then hold it up casually to the camera, and then starts a frenzy of like, wait, are they together? That's kind of, sometimes they like to feed it, not Ben and J-Lo for sure, but just there's ways out there that people feel the need to keep it going, and it realize it's just a tough world because if it starts to go away, you feel horrible. If they're not checking on you every day, you hate it, but you feel dumb if they're not. So.
I mean, we fall into all of those traps. I mean, I don't think you can be in this business and not, step in a pile of poo every other day, because we all have egos and we all want to work, and we all are aging, and we're all different than we used to be, and we're all those things are true. So it has an impact. But if, anyway.
Well, no, it's interesting because we grew up and had our like Cheers. That was an analog world. It was the 3-channel world. Cable was just starting. It was one thing I was just sort of interested about because of those two movies I mentioned, The Onion and Body Heat, and then you're presented with this. You want to do a sitcom in a bar? I mean, was that like, yes, please, or was there any sense at that time
that you're a movie guy?
Oh no, and it wasn't. I didn't even think about it. I mean, it wasn't me being offered something. I auditioned with a lot of people. I remember I was doing an episode of Taxi. Somebody fell out at the last moment, and I think Jimmy Burrows remembered me from some audition. Jimmy, who was one of the co-creators of an amazing director,
incredible, half-hour genius,
he's directed
Midas Touch,
so I was doing Taxi, and they had just gotten an office, Les and Glenn Charles and Jimmy Burrows, and we're talking about Cheers, and they were starting to cast, and so they had me come down on a lunch break, and I had about 2 or 3 meetings with them during that week, and they after the last one, they said, do us a favor, don't take any other job without checking with us. And I went, so are you saying that I have this part? And they went, no. Check with us. And I walked out. Their office had 2 doors, front door and kind of a back door, and a long hallway when you got out. And I went out the back door, and I looked at the staircase coming up to the front door part of the office, and there was like every actor in town was coming up to, audition. So kind of miraculous. But so I auditioned. I think really I got it because of Shelley Long. Shelley was brilliant. She off the rack was Diane Chamber, and we auditioned well together because they did a lot of mix and matching. They actually had a kind of an audition off in front of all the networks. 3 couples came.
Terrifying. I remember those things.
And I was with Shelley. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've done those. I think I've told Dana there was a sickening one where I was new and I needed it so bad. It was $40,000 for a pilot, which was a high quote. Wow. So I hadn't done it, but they wanted me so badly, and I won't sound cocky in a minute. And the other part, they had 7 people read for it. So we went to CBS and did a network chemistry read. So I'm reading with 7 other guys, and they're mixing and matching. And they're like, why don't you read their part just to see just the craziness? And I walked out of there, and my manager said, all the people that made $40,000 on a pilot take 1 step forward. Not so fast, Spade. And I go, that's nice. Dana, it's your manager too. And I go, oh my, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know how you did it, but you didn't do it. You didn't get it. And I go, they have to. I'm the only one for the one part. They go, they're starting over. I go, no, they can't. I was freaking out. They started over. They go, they're just going to start over casting again. I go, that's impossible. I couldn't even imagine. I go, all I have to do is go there and I have $40,000 and I'm on a show. It was so, I couldn't even deal with it. And then it never got off the ground. I didn't know it was feasible to lose it. And, but that's why those things are so nerve wracking. There's a possibility. There's a long shot you're even going to get it. And there's a 1,000,000 to 1. It's going to be a monster hit.
Yeah.
Did you have a hell one?
All right. That's an example of willingness, because your ego gets bashed around so much in business that if you're not willing to kind of check your ego at the door, if you're,
jump through the hoops.
Yeah. You have to be willing to get banged up and still keep going.
It's an emotionally violent sport for sure. I read for Harry and Son. I go in the room and they paired me with a woman. It was Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward are on the couch. You're like, come on, fuck. And he's got red socks. She's got a little dog. I can barely talk. And they paired us off. I'm horrible. I can barely move, act, or even come up with words. I'm with this pretty good actress. And then he goes, well, and Newman was so nice. Well, we're just looking and this and that. He's thinking, get him out. So we went outside. I go, wow, that was kind of rough. She goes, yeah, it was rough. You fucked me. and we are married for 40 years. No, but that was it's an emotionally violent sport. You have to take such blows and such
because you're not that valuable. Everyone says you're that valuable, and you're replaced in 1 second. You go, oh, and it's hard to remember. It's an entertainment business. It's really not that crucial, and a lot of people can do what we do and just be happy. It's very tough because you get ego for sure.
Don't take it personally. It's like arguing with a Coke machine because it's not giving you quarters. It's never personal. Nothing in show business is personal. It's the Borg. It's monolithic.
Walk through the door and you happen to unfortunately remind them of their second cousin on the left side, who they hate.
Yeah.
And you'll never know why you get something or don't get something. And so to make rules, to damage yourself in some way in your
you'll just get it sometimes and you won't other times. I read with Lynn Stallmaster a romantic scene alone in a room, just me and him, right? It was a man, if I can, and he's reading the woman part.
The casting director.
Just reading the one part. I don't know. You just auditioning is difficult. You do have to have willingness or whatever, tenacity, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I think certain people, I think it was from Breaking Bad, the famous actor. Sorry,
Cranston.
Cranston. He just said he decided at one point, I'm just going to do this. Whether it's regional theater or commercials or TV or films, this is what I'm going to do. And I think that's the attitude.
I agree.
If you love it.
I used to go be extras in commercials while I was doing theater, at night. And, I just wanted to be part of.
Be around it.
This business. I just want to be. I still do. I still get a thrill driving through a studio gate. I am so happy.
It's lucky.
Right.
Well, I mean, it is amazing. Cheers, I think 240 episodes or something. Becker, another one, 129 episodes. The Good Place, 54 episodes. I mean, it's like 450 episodes. The amount of work is unbelievable. And the amount of success you've had is just phenomenal.
You'd have to say everything kind of, comes from Cheers, without a doubt.
What was that one again? What was that about?
The bar one.
Did it change a lot from the pilot? Did you think it was like, or you guys had it from the beginning? Like it was kind of set the way it was? Because some shows sort of turn into something else.
I'm the perfect actor who doesn't want to write, direct, or produce. So my point of view is so subjective. Mm-hmm. Full of self. So I don't know that I could really take a bird's eye view. I was devastated when I saw the pilot. I pulled Jimmy Burrows aside and literally burst into tears saying, I'm awful. I'm so horrible in this. And he looked at me for a minute, broke into laughter and walked off. But I do think it took me a while. I think this is true that I was playing a relief pitcher and an owner of a bar, and there's a certain amount of arrogance, especially with a relief pitcher. And I didn't have any of that in me. And I never was in bars, me, Ted. I was never, a woman had to be standing naked opposite me, and I'd go, wait, you mean me? I was the opposite of Sam Malone. So it took me about a year of finally, you realize, people are judging you. You're on the air. Some people like you, some people hate you, and you can't please everybody. So I kind of developed, fuck it. I'm just going to do it for myself. The hell with everybody else kind of feeling, not overly so, but kind of. And that's when I was able to start tapping into the arrogance of Sam Malone. So I feel like it took me about a year to understand or be able to play him.
And the ratings weren't superstar right out of the box, right?
Jimmy likes to say we were 70th out of 70. No, we were 70th out of 65.
Oh, and they hung in there, which is rare.
We really were dead last one time.
Wow, Jesus. And they didn't cancel you. Why? Just because Jim Burrows or?
No, because they had nothing to replace us with. Literally, we were told that. Everybody got credit.
We want to, but we can't.
We hate you, but we got nothing. Really?
We had critics on our side, and that was about it.
That does help. They like that. They do like that. They like a little buzz.
We worked our way up to, the mid-20s or something like that. And then Bill Cosby, I know, everyone checks themselves when they talk about Bill Cosby, but Bill Cosby was a juggernaut, his show.
Yes.
And he was on Thursday night at the beginning of the evening, and he pulled
huge.
Literally all the rest of us behind.
50 million at some point, I think.
We were top 10 as a result of him. I used to send them baskets of muffins or something saying, thank you.
He made hits because if you just followed him, but at least got eyes on you, and you had a good show. So it's not like a mistake, but it's just good that you get the eyes on you.
I believe, and there's so many, it's 85 when Woody Harrelson came in. I think I really sucked. I think I read for that part.
Really? Oh, wow.
I love that.
Some casting room, if I recall it directly, Bart, and I was horrible. And then you see Woody, and it's like, well, of course. But he really also was another gusher up when you got him in there too.
He was amazing.
The chemistry of all of you was gelling, but he's something special.
I mean, that it's always the writing, even the stuff you do for yourself. Have you written it well or whatever? It works. It's really the writing, and we had brilliant writers, and we got. Coach died and Woody came in, and Woody was immediately embraced because he was outstanding, but also because of the writing. And then we lost Shelley, moved on, Shelley Long, and Kirstie.
Did you ever talk to Shelley about that when she said I'm
run
leaving?
It by you?
No. I think it was her desire to go off. She'd made a couple of really good movies. Reconcilable Differences she was good in. And I think she and her managers wanted her to have a film career, and she had done her 5 years.
She got her 5 years. Yeah.
And I think in a way it probably gave Cheers its legs, because Kirstie Alley came storming in with a whole different kind of energy, and was immediately,
right. It might have gotten old. You don't know. It might have gotten, And then Woody, and how long after Coach does Woody come in, or is it right away?
Coach was very ill the end of the third season, and they started writing about and talking about him being on a trip or something, and then that summer he passed away. And Woody was cast by the time we started the next season.
And then I don't know, you look at Mary Tyler Moore, I'm just picking some out here, and then you guys and Frasier and Seinfeld. It's just it's an era of these brilliant half-hour shows that all had long runs, or as long as a run as they wanted. I mean, you did go 11 seasons. Right? And you got nominated, sorry, don't blush, every single season. Won twice.
9 times.
Only 9.
9? Oh, Wikipedia fucked me.
No, you were right. 9 times before I won one.
Okay.
It became like such a joke. I'll wear this tie. No, I won't wear cufflinks. I will write a speech. I won't write a speech. And then the car ride home to your kids. No, didn't win this time, but I'm all right. I'm okay. Guys, go to sleep.
The last episode, Dana, listen to these facts. 80 million people, 7th most watched show that wasn't sports. And if you include sports, it was beaten by a WNBA game, unfortunately, the LA Sparks.
Caitlin Clark actually was 3 years old and hit the last goal.
WNBA game smoked it. They get 81 million. But no, 80 million seems high. That's a lot.
Seems good.
When we cancel Just Shoot Me, which is my idea. No, wait, it was the networks. We just got a correction. When I was on a show, Ted, you can Google this. It's true.
What was the finale?
When I was on the show, you know what? I think maybe we went out with a whimper because we didn't know we were being canceled.
I don't think you had a finale.
You know that trick? It's like they tell you later and you're like, so that random episode was our big, okay. I don't remember. Maybe we did, but we got a good run. We had 148. That's good. And
that's real good.
got me that Honda Civic I'm rolling
that's
around
not
in.
bad. That's not bad. Can I ask you a question, Ted? I like to ask for permission.
Please.
Getting to know you a little bit even better. By the way, Woody, when Woody hosted the show, he mentioned you constantly. It was really kind of cool. I remember him about you mentoring. Just he didn't say you're his mentor, but Ted said this, and Ted said this. It was kind of sweet.
When was this? Was this
early 90s
when he hosted
on
SNL?
SNL? It was very sweet. But I was just wondering, with your personality, there's a given point in the 80s at some point, Ted, you're getting so famous. And the Swarm, how did you, what happened? Did you just roll with it? I mean, we talked to Ed O'Neill about it, and he's just very chill and kind of East Coast, you know. Was it heady? Was it exciting? I mean, you were on the top of that sitcom rocket.
Yeah.
I'd be silly not to say it wasn't heady. But you're also, raising 2 kids. There were certain balancing things to it. And then I went off and tried to make a couple of movies, and they both did not do well. So
Three Men and a Baby,
that did very well. That was during Cheers. I mean, doing the middle of Cheers, when you'd go out in the summer and make a movie. I'm sure you guys felt this way with Saturday Night Live. You had a home to come back to.
Yeah.
So
right.
This huge pressure.
Less stress. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you finish, and what movie do you go do after your drunken final episode?
It was a drunken reunion.
What was it? Wasn't something where you guys got drunk? What was that?
It was Jay Leno decided to broadcast live outside the bar in Boston.
Right.
And it was the final episode, and we as a cast had not seen each other because we'd finished shooting, 2 months before or 3 months before. And they told us to come to the Bull and Finch, which is a bar, and hang out and do interviews until 11 o'clock at night. What the heck did they expect?
What? Oh my God.
I think the only sober-ish person was Kelsey Grammer. The rest of us were hammered and stoned. And Jay Leno, this is a great moment where Jay's doing, the lights, and we're outside, and there's a crowd around us, and we're sitting on stools surrounding Jay, and he puts his notes down when they're saying 5, 4, 3. And he looks up and he sees, 7 or 8 of us with our eyes kind of spinning.
Yeah, of course.
You could see him go, "Oh fuck!" Oh, no.
He could see it immediately.
Yeah, and he had to do what was it after the finale, after it aired, and then you guys come out?
Yeah.
And you guys, they think you're like walking out of the finale bar, like just.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, what I remember hearing about.
We got a lot of shit for it. People weren't tickled, but oh well.
Oh, tough.
I was just curious. What were you drinking? Did people drink beer, or were they doing shots, or where did it evolve to? Did anyone just?
I don't know if I was into tequila back then, but probably tequila and
that'll do it.
Cannabis,
and the plastic bag weed.
Yeah,
where he goes like this. That one, I love Woody.
He has a great Woody, who doesn't like doing the ads for this podcast. Right? I will sell my soul anywhere. Who cares? But he doesn't want to do commercials except for his
cannabis
dispensary in
hilarious.
On Santa Monica Boulevard, and he gives the address. It's called The Woods, which is kind of perfect, and it's brilliant. I have to say, it's brilliant.
Listen, he had one of the memorable monologues last year when he kind of put together his own monologue.
Stepped outside the lines,
outside the box, and
that's our Woody.
That's a good SNL thing. That's what you should be doing on SNL.
That's what he once pulled me aside and said, I think I was getting a divorce or separated or something, but he was saying, why, Teddy, why are you so fearful? You're always so fearful. And there's a degree of truth in that. And Woody is the exact opposite, man. He takes big chunks out of life. We were actually rehearsing for a show, if we shot Tuesday, maybe this was a Friday or something. And he was late. 15 minutes late meant you were on time. 30 minutes, you were late. 45 minutes, people were pissed off. And someone came running in and said, Woody called. He's in Berlin. The wall is coming down and he didn't want to miss it. That's Woody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can be maddening, but you just have to admire the big chunks of life that
he seems to have fun. He surfs. He has a good time. He hangs out with Owen Wilson.
He's a poet. He's a playwright.
The Texas trifecta. I mean, as far as that eccentricity, I think McConaughey, Owen Wilson, and of course Woody. I put Billy Bob Thornton, but I don't know if he's from Texas, but just a real eccentric. But yeah, those guys just are fearful. I live in terror most of the time. I hate flying. I'm a homebody. But I love hearing about people like, let's just go surf in Argentina. Owen Wilson said that one. We're going down next week. I go, what are the rules of life? You can do that? Like, can you just do that? Well, I'm doing it. And they ask people, what they regret most later in life. They go, I was just too afraid. So,
David, it sounds like you're a smidge more courageous than Dana and me.
Well, not super courageous. I do try to get out of the house a little more, but I'm not that good at it.
That's scary, man. We're crazy.
Yeah, we're weird. Listen, we're all weirdos, but
David's touring a lot.
Oh, I do stand up. That's hard enough to go on the road and just.
But that's courageous. I do not understand that, because that's dangerous. That's courageous. You are on your own, no backup.
Thank you.
I am so astounded by people who can do stand up.
Yes, it is hard out there, and Dana's very good at it.
David was good very young. I mean, it took me at least 3 full years to not be in a full panic attack all day. This is doing open mics in college.
It is horrifying.
Terrifying, stage fright. The palms of my hands would turn bright red. And if I waved to the crowd, they go, what's wrong with you? So it took me a long time to beat the hell out of it. I mean,
what was the thought? What was your first thought of, I'm going to go stand up in front of a crowd and I'm the one who's going to tell them what's funny or not,
I had a secret desire as a little kid. 5 kids in my family, put on little talent shows. I would have years. Did you ever have a year that you were kind of confident? Like I was sort of confident in 4th grade. I don't know why. 5th grade, horribly insecure. Junior high is a mofo, but I could do little voices. I got a hold of a Craig tape recorder that was featured in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I had that, and I would record. But then I was incredibly shy. And then I just saw something in the newspaper. I was 20 years old, and it said local comedians. I only knew about Don Rickles or Richard Pryor. There's like, what do you mean? And so it was in Berkeley and Los Salamandra. It was a little hippie joint in the back, like 20-seater. And I went with a few friends and watched the comedians. Yeah. And they didn't seem that good. And I always say this, but I'll say it to you. And then when this one guy goes up, I'm like, holy shit. Like, he's amazing. I thought, well, if there's a lot of this guy, I just, so I had some notes. I just threw them away. That was Robin Williams. So So he was always, but then I just did it and I was terrified and I just kept doing it. I just had enough shows where I weren't bombing. I played delicatessens and church basements. I played to crowds who were facing away from me, eating. It's just a torturous first few years till you get a foothold.
Did you always do impressions?
I did. I was enamored with them. I could do sort of a Beatley voice after seeing them on Ed Sullivan a few times. I could do Lyndon Johnson in those days, and I love Rich Little, Frank Gorshin. I love those guys. Yeah. And well, what about you? I'm curious about that part of your world. Like,
we're going in circles here, David. I mean,
we are.
Mine is similar to Dana's.
But you did get on stage early, right? And had success. I met you when you were like 21, right?
Yeah, it was probably everyone left high school to go to college. I stayed to do community college, and then I was looking through one of the things, and it said there was a comedy night. And I just went. I never been to a comedy club, never seen anything. Mostly out of boredom, but I like comedy. Everyone likes comedy, so I went and watched. So floored by, I couldn't believe these guys are coming up with this stuff. And then they had an amateur night, and later it was digging at me. I'm like, what? I wonder if I could just go 3 minutes. Can anyone do 3 minutes? Like, just you walk up. So I got intrigued by it, and then I just tried it. Not good, but just liked it. Once you know you like something, I got bit by the bug, and it was like the way people get with acting. I got that later with acting, but right away I was like, this is so fun and so fucking hard that it gave me sort of like a Rubik's Cube to figure out.
Looking back, do you think you were already in that kind of, were you working on that sweet spot of comedy for you? Were you already recognizably a young David Spade, you know?
If you watched, even my first HBO special, which is obviously down the road a little bit, but any early stuff, it was a very similar style. It was a little more high energy, but eventually turned into what it is. But I think at the beginning, Dana would agree, you're sort of a research paper of your favorite people, and just you start to figure out what you like the best. And I realized I'm not Sam Kinison. I'm not going to yell. I'm not all props. I'm not this. I started to whittle it down and then get to more of my favorites. And then you just turn into yourself. And then one day someone says, I saw this comic and they're doing you. And I'm like, oh my, that's like the ultimate compliment. You go, oh, it's now there's someone else that's seen me. Oh, okay. So that's fun.
He had props at one point. I had a trunk of props. That I'd carry with me, bring on stage. And I kind of admired Robin Williams so much because he was such a powerhouse, and he did voices and characters and ran out. And I was trying to be him for a few years, you know. And we're all just so lucky to get on SNL. That was such a dream because we were watching them in college, Dan Aykroyd, and then meeting Dan Aykroyd. I just wonder if you had those pinch moments. I mean, where you're like, there's a moment like when did you meet people that you admired that blew your mind, or what was your journey on this?
Well, I mean,
in high school, did you go, I want to be on television?
No, I wanted to play basketball, and I was at a small school, and we did well in our league. You know, any decent high school would have kicked our butts, but I just lived, ate, drank, worshipped basketball. Went to Stanford, and my friend, who was actually a good athlete, and I decided to go try out for freshman ball. And this is when Kareem was, or Lou Alcindor was a freshman at UCLA. And it was just a different game than I could even imagine. So I didn't even step on the court. I stopped at the court line. Oh, wow.
Did you ever dunk a basketball? You're like 6'1" or something? No.
Ask me if I could ever touch the net. You know,
how tall are you?
6'2", but you know.
You must have touched the rim.
Actually, you know what? I broke my nose 3 times playing basketball. I mean, shattered it. Never in a romantic, interesting, courageous way. You know, a ball would slip through my hands. We'd be running down. We'd be getting back on defense, and I would turn around and run into the back of my teammate's head and smash. No, it was just pathetic. But as a joke, one of the sports writers at our little school put in the Kent school newspaper that Ted Danson broke his nose on the rim once again. And my father ended up, for some reason, I think, believing it, and showed it to the basketball coach in Flagstaff, Arizona, at the high school. And they were all over me for why I couldn't figure out why.
For sure.
Anyway,
so then you went into theater.
I followed a girl that I was hopefully going to be able to go out with, and I asked her for a coffee at Stanford, and she said sure. And so off we went. And about 2 minutes in, she went, "Oh, I forgot, I have an audition." And I think, signaling this was not going to work. But I went, "Oh, can I come along?" And she said, "I guess so." Her name was Beth, by the way. Thank you, Beth, because I went and there was an audition for a Bertolt Brecht play called Man ist Man. And to stay in the room, I had to do something.
Oh, really?
So I made something up, and I can't believe that I did this. I made something up, and people laughed. And I remember going, "Oh, wait a minute. This is interesting."
Yep.
I got the smallest part you could get and be in the play. I joined an acting class, and I literally backed up my station wagon to the back of the theater and didn't leave until somebody finally said, if you're serious, go back east and go to an acting school, which I did.
Yeah.
And did you run into somebody at some point somewhere in New York that said, "Hey, Ted, you're talented. You can have a career"? Did anyone say anything like that to you, or was it a slow build? When did you kind of?
I didn't need that, actually. I was so madly in love. To answer your question, no. And I was so madly in love with the process. I started an acting. I went to Carnegie Mellon and 3 years, and then I went to New York and went back into a class while I was auditioning for stuff. But I almost didn't care whether or not I was auditioning or being paid to act. I didn't care. I just
loved it.
Loved it so much. And almost, I don't think that's true about the money part now, but I feel the same way. I love going to work.
Just liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ted. I think we've learned too much.
No, I have so much more. I have so much
Ted.
more.
No,
I think you're going to be very successful. You asked us a lot of good questions.
You know what you're doing.
You followed up. You laughed.
TV
I'm just giving
friendly.
You a little critique. TV friendly, likable. I wrote it down here. Likable.
Good.
Accessible. Vulnerable.
Crazy people like Woody.
Yeah. Got Woody on your team. That's
well,
good.
Woody, and you. I mean, you guys, I think it'll be successful. It's hard to figure out what this world is so vast of digital content. There's 5 billion pieces of content now, but yes, I think it's going to be very successful because it's you guys.
Whether, it's nice. Of course I have an ego and involved in this. I do want it to work, but it's not the same kind of ego as acting. I'm just having fun. I can't believe that I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing a podcast.
It's great. Anyway. It's a great sort of thing that came up and was invented, and it's better. It's a lot easier than going to New York and doing a talk show for 6 minutes. It's just less work, and you get more out of it.
It's compartmentalized. You can build your other things around it. If you get a movie or a show, you can expand. I would say one other thing that I noticed about you, with all sincerity, is you're curious, and that's very helpful.
Yeah,
curious.
No, you're right.
Just because you just follow that, even if you're interrupting or over talking like I am now. If you're curious, and you guys do over talk, right? You can't not over talk.
Yeah.
To a point.
Yeah.
No,
because I am. I love it when Woody's able to be there because it's. I just love hanging out with him, and he's such a different energy than I am. It kind of works well together.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah, he's got his draw. I've never tried to do Woody Harrelson, but very funny voice, unique. Yeah,
and it's getting more Woody.
Oh, he's going more Woody. Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
hey,
Ted.
Thank
you, Ted. Thank you very much for your time.
Really enjoyed talking to you guys.
Yeah, we enjoyed it too, and we're so glad you came on our show. And good luck with everything. That's all I could say. I wish you all the best.
Tell Mary hello.
You're inspiring because you're just totally engaged with everything.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Okay, boss. Take care, brother. This has been a presentation of Audacy. Please follow, subscribe, leave a like, a review, all the stuff. Smash that button, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcasts. Fly on the Wall is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Audacy, and Heather Santoro. The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman.